So, Bonnie, we're 100 days into the second Trump administration. At this point, what do you see as being the main changes and challenges in the U.S. Taiwan relationship?
Well, I think in some ways we've seen the U.S. Taiwan relationship on automatic pilot. That is, the usual meetings, interactions between our governments, certainly security cooperation, interactions between AIT and the government in Taiwan. I think that's all been just routine. There are, of course, other things that are going on regarding the tariffs. I think that there have been very intense conversations between Taiwan's government and the Trump administration on issues related to trade, although my understanding is that, at least as of today, the negotiations have not yet begun on how Taiwan is going to address some of U.S. concerns and get those tariffs lowered. And lastly, I will say that what has been pretty much on hold has been negotiations on the 21st century trade agreement between the United States and Taiwan, which was not quite finished in the Biden administration. And it remains to be seen whether those will actually get across the finish line in the Trump administration.
We've seen some recent polls published by Brookings and the Taiwanese Public Opinion Foundation showing that perceptions of the U.S. among Taiwanese people have turned more negative recently. There's a lot of concern around tariffs and around the U.S. as a reliable partner. If this trend continues, how might that affect the relationship?
Well, the first point I like to make is that I think that there are concerns about U.S. reliability in many allied capitals and partner capitals around the world. So Taiwan is certainly not alone. But my guess is that public opinion will probably stabilize, but may not go up significantly, given that there's just a lot of, I think, going to be continued uncertainty in U.S. policies toward many countries around the world, including Taiwan. However, there are some things that will remain different from the Biden administration. For example, President Joe Biden said 4 times that if China were to attack Taiwan, that he would come to Taiwan's defense. And Trump has, it appears, decided that he will not reiterate those statements, but he will not do so because, at least from what he has said, he believes that remaining ambiguous, not showing his hand, is really what gives him leverage in any negotiations with China. It is not an indication that the United States would not come to Taiwan's defense if China were to attack.
While Trump has paused the tariffs on Taiwan and most other countries, China and the US continue to tariff each other at rates of more than 100%. How might a long term trade war between the US and China affect the security situation in the Taiwan Strait?
If the tariffs remain in effect, we are likely to see a decoupling between the United States and China. That is an end virtually to most trade between the United States and Taiwan. And I think that the economic impact on both the United States and China would be severe. Some people say it would be bigger on the United States, but there's no doubt that there would be a significant impact on China. There was one report I read today that if the United States continues the tariffs at this level, there will be an additional 16 million Chinese people out of work, unemployed. And so I think that that would be worrisome to Xi Jinping. I believe that economic stress and risk of social stability in China would make it less likely that Xi Jinping would use force against Taiwan, not more likely. That doesn't mean that PLA exercises would stop or that the rhetoric would change, the threats, all of the cyber attacks against Taiwan, the preparations would continue. But I think actual use of force against Taiwan is less likely to take place if China is in a situation where it is under a great deal of stress.